anyway, we started off this broadcast with a question from one of our community members who asked, who basically has a large network, lots of friends, lots of coworkers, and but really struggles with asking for help.
Yes.
Is willing to give to others, but doesn't know how to ask for help. And so her question is, how do I get over that? How do I leverage my network? Even though I know a lot of people, I don't know how to ask them for help.
Yeah. So first and foremost, you just have to get over the fact that you just have to ask. Just do it. Just ask for help. But there are different ways to do it, right? You want to make sure that you're asking for help with someone who you've nurtured a relationship with. You don't want to have this cold relationship and then just reach out to somebody and say, hey, I need your help. You need to make sure that you practice the idea of contribution and constantly giving in terms of how can you be helpful to them, how making sure that you are sometimes helping without them even asking you, right? And sometimes it's something as small as, hey, you and I had a conversation. You told me about, something that you were interested in. I found an interesting article, or, hey, I found this opportunity. You might be interested. So little things like that are those things of reciprocity. So you've been kind of always giving. So then you shouldn't feel as awkward of reaching out and saying, hey, I need some help from you. So I really do think that it does come down to getting over that uncomfortableness of asking for help.
But doing it in the right way, because the thing you don't want to do is what I often find happens on LinkedIn, especially for me, is that I'll get a connection request from a total stranger who I have no shared connections with. There's absolutely nothing in common. And they reach out, and basically as soon as you accept the connection, the first thing that they do is, hey, I've got this thing to sell. Do you want to buy? And it's so abrupt. I mean, it's like, I haven't even said hello to you yet, and you're already pitching me something. So that kind of thing is not what you would do in real life. I mean, there's no way you would meet someone brand new in real life and within 30 seconds tell them to buy something or ask them for something. So if you don't do it in real life, don't do it online. Don't do it in your professional network. And, just like in real life, you would look to build a real connection and have something that's authentic, and only then from there evolve into how you can serve them, how you can help them, how you can make a difference in their life. And if you've earned that, chances are they're going to be there for you as well. But there will be times when you do need help and you don't know how to ask them. In those situations, it's really, oftentimes I find when you ask for advice, you can actually get the help you need as well. But you have to be sincere about it. Don't play games. Just be direct. This is a goal I care about. This is something I'm really passionate about. This is a mission I care about. And I could use some help. Is this something you could support me with? Be specific with your ask. Don't just ask generally. Say, this is something, like, I'm looking for an introduction, or I am looking for some guidance on something specific. Is that something you can help me with? Or do you know someone who might be able to help me with that? So the more specific you make it, the easier it gets.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the time, sometimes when people come to me and say, I don't know how to ask my community for help, what they're looking for is mentorship and sponsorship. And so you have to be thoughtful when you're reaching out to somebody to say, hey, will you mentor me, or will you sponsor me? Like Nikki said, you have to be clear on the ask. Know what you want to ask for. And, I remember it was much easier going to somebody and say, hey, I really admire the way that you present and that you hold the attention of people in conferences or in the conference room and meetings. And I would really love to learn from you. So would you mentor me in that specific thing? And that individual then knows what it is that you're valuing them for. And then they know exactly how they can mentor you, coach you, or whatever that is in that instance.
But even in that situation, invest the time in getting to know them, understand what's important to them, and perhaps even think about ways you can help them out. And oftentimes we think, well, that person is so high achieving, they're so powerful. What could I possibly bring to the table? There might be a different perspective you can bring. Perhaps, your a millennial who helps them understand more about that audience, and that's something that they don't have context about. So there's so many different ways that you can bring value to someone who is seemingly way out of your league. You just have to think about in what ways can you contribute that is aligned with what they care about, which means you have to get to know them first.
Right.
You can't just jump the gun and meet a speaker on stage and, just suddenly ask them, hey, can you mentor me?
Exactly. So it is kind of fostering that relationship. But as we mentioned, the first thing is don't be afraid to ask. You need to ask, but time the ask accordingly, right? You don't want to just, like Nikki said, have just this cold call or cold email ask. Make sure that you're, engaging with that individual and then asking them for the help that you need. But you need to make sure that you are asking and leveraging your network, but at the same time, reciprocating and helping people and whatnot. And I always have to remind myself, when I have that hesitancy and I don't want to reach out to somebody and ask them because either I'm intimidated because they're really senior or they're really well known, I have to remind myself, if someone, how do I react when people come to me and ask me for help? I immediately yes, absolutely. I'll help you. No problem. So I have to remember that if I don't ask somebody for help because I'm being shy or I'm being, letting imposter syndrome take over, I'm robbing that person from that opportunity to contribute and to feel really good about giving. Yeah. So it's kind of one of those things where I feel really good when I can give to somebody. And if they weren't asking me, then they're robbing me of that opportunity. So I always think about it that way and it helps kind of make me, hit that send button and move forward with it.
Yeah. I'm often surprised how, people assume that there's no value to give to someone when there's so many ways you could be helpful. And also remember, if it's not aligned with what they're looking for, they're going to say no anyway. So that's okay. You're not going to force someone to do something that they wouldn't want to. So there's no harm in asking. And you've got to get over the fear of rejection, because if you keep worrying about rejection, you'll just never take the step.
Yeah.
So if you want to get to a very tactical thing in terms of how do you ask, well, first of all, figure out exactly what you're looking for help in. Get specific about exactly what you need in order to move forward. So if you get down to a specific need, maybe it's, hey, I'm looking for guidance with, this kind of, promotion opportunity, or I'm looking for a mentor in this specific area. Get very, very specific, and then identify the set of people who can actually guide you in that. Don't just look at someone random who has no connection to that. Maybe make a list of the top 10 people who are best positioned to help you with that. Then reach out to them with a very, very specific ask, that outlines exactly why they can help you and what you're looking for and how it might benefit them and what they can get from it. And then, just focus on being authentic and sincere in that. And worst case, you'll get a no, but if you ask, there's a chance you will get a yes.
Yeah.
And you'll get to the
well, yeah. What do they say? I mean, you have a 50-50 chance of getting the help or not getting the help. If you don't ask, it's 100% chance of not getting the help. Yeah. So you should definitely put the ask out there.
And keep building your network. Don't build a network just to collect business cards or to look at the number of followers or connections you have. It's not about how many people you know. It's about how robust those relationships are. And that's only built on meaningful connections. So, remember, your network is your net worth. And so if you are very sincere and authentic about who you want proximity to, why that matters, and what you're looking to achieve, then over time, that's just going to keep growing, and it will be a truly, powerful experience and a pure community of support.
Yeah, it's absolutely quality over quantity. So
awesome. Well, we're hopefully this has been helpful, and there's a question here. Describe LinkedIn connections for people you don't know. What advice would you give to someone who's doing a cold invite? That's a great question. First of all, definitely do the cold invites. Because otherwise, how do you grow your network beyond who you know? With that said, if there are some common connections where you have some mutual connections between the person you want to know, it's always helpful to get introduced by that person. So if I'm looking to get to know someone that is, not, that maybe 1 or 2 connections away, I'll usually see if there's someone who might be able to make an introduction. If not, here's what has really worked well. Follow that person on LinkedIn, engage on their posts. You can always follow even if you don't connect. And in fact, I recommend if there's someone who's fairly well-known, then you want to follow them. You can choose the follow option instead of the connect option. Engage on their posts. Chances are they're sharing things online, like and comment and share on that. Get yourself familiar, show up on their radar. And over time, as you show up, then you have a chance to then reach out with a personal message and a connection request to say, hey, I've been following your post, find it really inspiring. Here's why it resonates with me, and I'd love to connect and get to know you, right? So you've now shown up on their radar. You're not a completely cold connection, and there's a sincerity of why that matters versus just randomly, approaching someone. And if you did have to just send a completely cold invitation because that person is not active on LinkedIn, what have you, give a specific reason. The last thing you want to do is one of those automated messages that just say, I'd like to connect or no message. Personalize the invitation. Give some context about why that connection matters to you, and and also what you might give back. To say that here's what I'm looking to achieve. Your knowledge or expertise would help me do X, Y, Z, and so just share that with them. And finally, once you've made all those invitations and connection requests, be okay with rejection. I mean, I reach out to people, every single day. And I'm pretty sure I have a 50% rejection rate. I just don't remember rejection, so it doesn't bother me.
Well, part of it is because they're super busy. I'll be honest. Sometimes I get so many, inbound requests to connect, or people will be asking for things, and I eventually will get through them, and I will sometimes look at it and say, oh no, this person reached out a week or 2 ago, but there was no malintent in not responding to the individual, so I usually will respond, but it may be delayed. But the other most important thing that I want to mention before we close out this evening's live is that if you do reach out and ask for someone for help or advice and they give it to you, you need to close that communication with following up with them afterwards and saying, thank you so much for your advice. You told me this, X, Y, and Z, and I put it into action, and here are the results. Thank you, because I wouldn't have gotten there or gotten that result without your help.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, because that's such a strong relationship builder when someone does that. In fact, I love when I might have helped someone a while ago and they circle back and they say, hey, you recommended this. I took action. Here's what I got out of it. Because there's a level of respect or reciprocation to say, hey, this advice was helpful. And it's always great to hear that. And it actually motivates you to help them even more. So do that closed loop communication. If someone's been helpful, given you advice or support or introductions, be sure to follow up and let them know that. So with that, we are going to close out for tonight, and we look forward to seeing you next week on Monday at 7 p.m. Central, and talk to you then. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Good night.